Dungeon Doomhands. Let's
with
talk
that, we're
lore.
back, baby.
A podcast.
Let's talk lore.
Roll high and subscribe.
Roll high and subscribe.
So with $20, those places where you can still get a lot with $20.
It's hilarious.
Some of those places are a little wild.
Some of them are a little wild.
So something I've wanted to talk to you, especially after Pandemonium, when we went to one of my characters' backstory places. In a world of Dungeons and Dragons and gods and myth that is real, how do you make those? There are pockets of places, pockets in the world that are just no one wants to go to, even more than like the place where there's a couple dragons over here, or there's some crazy ghosts that haunt this mountain. Like, what's that even crazier wild place look like? And how do you get that feel? Because if you're a random farmer, you hear about all these stories and you know they're true. You're like, if I do go over there, I will see a dragon, or this monstrosity that is a walking elemental roaming through the world. That's just normal. What's beyond that? What really makes that person think like, oh crap, there's this crazy cave or this crazy place that no one ever goes to? What does that look like?
So there's two things here where I think I found in your question. So it's one, how to make it crazy, like what does the crazy place look like, but also how do you maintain, as we talk about the immersion, and what do you do to enhance the area. So if you build this crazy upside down world where let's just say
like for us, if we went to any of the realms, any of the places that we're playing in, where we would think like, oh my god, this is insane. Yeah. I want that, like a little farmer in your world who all of that is normal, like not everyday occurrences, but is normalized, to still have that feeling like, oh my god.
Well, so I think let's just stick with that. Let's just okay.
Yeah.
You have the upside down world, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You go to a plane and everything's upside down. There's like a floating. Let's just say it's the island, right? And everything's upside down. Everything's inverted. So gravity's inverted. You have to create a mechanic for that. You'll have to
colors inverted.
People, when like the day, like they go to sleep in the morning, they wake up at night. Like I would say that the themes throughout the area should maintain. So like maybe upside down world's too hard right now to understand. But let's just say you're in the Underdark. So like the Underdark, when I was building my city in the Underdark, I said, okay, well, what are the surroundings like, and what's the materials and the sources of food and water and everything that they're going to be using. And it turns out that everything's scarce, so the people there are probably going to be a little bit more hostile, not as trustworthy, because what are the ramifications of that? And so I feel like if you were to just layer it as you build it and have that sort of cutthroat theme, where people are distrusting, there's not a lot of gold, not a lot of minerals and whatnot. People are always stealing from each other. That sort of gives you a base. Then you want to build up from the magic. I don't know if that helps.
Yeah. Enhance on the natural, like, say this part of the world once was a flourishing farming town or something, and so how would that like natural environment or that history of that place like be enhanced to this crazy wild extreme?
Like, how would you maintain the
Yeah, I think you keep that theme throughout it, but you're still trying to find something that a person, like going into the Underdark and having a scarce environment with hostile creatures. That's an adventure to the Underdark. That's
Right.
still something that's known in the world.
right?
Going beyond your known to the world.
Oh, so building something completely crazy,
Yeah.
like
Like that thing that if you and I were to see, we would not be able to comprehend in any form or fashion, because it is so far beyond like what we think is possible.
well, are we building a city? Or are we building like the palace of the gods? It would be like
Like
things that you don't.
It could be a cave or a forest, like a small grove of trees, but it's just absurd.
So
what could ideas of what that could look like? Like you have the idea of the overgrown forest of like really crazy vines and plants that attack you, but that's still an idea that is a known quantity in a fantasy world. But you take that and make that even more scary, even more terrifying, even a place no one in the world would want to touch, so it still exists.
So you'd have to have mystery. Like, I would say in the details of describing the area, it's the vines are, they attack you, but why? Like, in the details of like what are the vines do? Are they protecting the thing, or are they just vines? Like, I don't know. I think your question is how does the role player sort of be shocked at going into a dark forest that the tavern owner just said, there's a side quest, go in there. And then when they get in there, yes, there are werewolves, there are evil things, there are travelers and blah, blah, blah. But how do you maintain a level of shock? I think, like, when it comes to Dungeons & Dragons, I feel like maintaining a level of shock, or at least giving a level of shock, sort of might come in the form of like the story. Like the characters know they're in there to get something. They know it's going to be creepy. They know there's going to be living trees and stuff. But the shock and awe probably would come from an aha moment. Like, how do you build an aha moment into like the city of Trigard we just did? Well, I ask you, what was how like, let's use an example of a time that we played together that sort of melded with what or sort of answered those aha moments, like the time traveling thing. Like, you guys are going into an area where you know that time is sensitive, so like the surrounding, you had to actually go into a dungeon, and one group was in the present and one was in the past, and you had to align things. Sort of gives you
like
a theme of time travel. And then you actually, all you did, like, you actually went back in time. And that might have been like, yes, you defeated a time dragon, and then there's a portal open to do a time heist. It was so cool because you had a theme of time and urgency in the area. All you did was go into like a little mining town and spend 4 sessions there waiting for something to happen that you had to respond to and get back. Yeah. But I felt like that was a cool... So maybe taking that framework and saying, okay, well, the aha moment comes from layered themes, time, everything has to do with it. That's why I said the Upside Down world. It's like, you're walking on the bottom, and you get up at night to go to work in the night. Everything is backwards. Like, maybe the people there, like,
I think you wrapped around back to the Upside Down world that answered a lot of the question. So it seems like there's, like, everything you're doing is you're trying to create that shock, that surprise, that new cool thing. And in Dungeons & Dragons, it's everything every next adventure you're doing is that cool, crazy, unique thing. And it's what's making it different is, for the Upside Down world, the inversion of what is normal. So like what is normal in that world,
right?
You flip everything over on that, and that is the complete opposite in that space, and that creates that unknown.
So imagine this: you guys walk into this, you see everyone, like, gravity is, you feel weird, like all the blood is rushing to your head, everyone has red faces, you know, you're still walking, but like gravity is, you know, everything's opposite. And so imagine this, you got, and like it's weird, everyone feels weird, they get it, they had a flip, they're upside down, the blood is rushing to their head. Maybe the characters don't experience the full effect of the upside down world, so maybe they have to like roll to not fall into the air or whatever. But you can build mechanics there that layer that in. But imagine like you guys go into the tavern to like take your rest, and you see patrons at the bar that are, they put cups up to their mouths, and the beer flows back into the cup, and they give it back to the bartender, and then everything else is like somewhat normal, you know. And like
you go things.
Yeah, you go outside and you see like the farmer. He's out in the field, and all of a sudden he takes a piece of bread out of his mouth, and he like, you know, tries to
grinds it up
and puts it back into the earth, you know, with like a, you know, or the, I don't know, but like like little details. I feel like the answer to your question about how do you make the an area or a new area or a realm or whatever it is, city, cave, how you make it crazy, I think it's the attention to the details, really. Because as long as you maintain that, okay, this cave is going to be about reality changing. Well, okay, well, how do you maintain that? Okay, so you build a mechanic, and the mechanic is, you know, people have to roll their constitution or their wisdom to see if they are maintaining their perception of reality. But all the while, you know, you can now, as the dungeon master, you can change the reality in a certain way, and I would imagine it would be in the details. So like, but also in immersion wise. So it's like, you know, you walk in and all of a sudden you're in a palace, but the place still smells like the cave, and you know, someone fails their role, and now they have, you know, the reality becomes like maybe something that they're afraid of, but it still maintains that smell of the cave. Maybe the smell, you have a constant. Like, I don't know. Maybe that was a long-winded,
I know,
horrible example, but
I think that was a
like
great thing
right
of like
there.
The random little, not random, but the little details that you can trickle in throughout that brings it all back to that theme or that feeling or that expression, and it's how powerful you can make that, can make it feel.
So I just had an idea. Imagine this. So if you were on a roller coaster going all the way down, or like always down, eventually that's going to feel normal, and you're going to be like, this isn't crazy. Yeah. So before you get to that special place, have a session or two of build up. I mean, when we were in the Underdark, one of the reasons why I think that Trigar was so cool, you guys eventually, you left the Underdark and you went to like a large, big ass city, which I did not know how to run, but I think it went pretty well. And I think everyone had like, wow, this is a big city feel to it. But like, what did we do beforehand? We were trying to get there. We were like, oh, this place is going to be huge. There's a lot of safe. It's going to be safe. We can sort of do whatever we want, rob people, to interact. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of, you know, but like when the lead up to it, it was like you're in a confined space. You're in a, you know, so the aha moment of getting there and realizing you're in a massive city was like relieving almost to everyone, even including the players. So maybe when you're in there, it's not just the details. It's also like have subtle build-ups to, you know,
to moments.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good question. Like when you said to me, crazy and wild, I was thinking, okay, so he wants to know how to like immerse the players in like a dark, you know, wild. Like wildlife, essentially.
Yeah.
with details of descriptions, but you weren't talking about descriptions really. You were saying like, I felt like something else.
Well, it's really the immersion of yourself in that space and having it really feel like something different, something new, something crazy, and you can do that with those details. I think
the level of consistency, having a constant,
yeah,
in the details,
Well, and when you start getting out there, having something to remind people of what is normal in the world versus what is crazy that they're seeing around you.
Yeah, like what would happen if you were in that cave we were talking about, like the reality cave where everything changes, but you still smell you have that one sense.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine how scared the group would be and how wild and crazy it would be if they had the reality, they did something, the reality changed, and then the smell went away.
Or the smell changed.
It started smelling like a beast.
Or they lose it. They don't know how to get back to it. Wow. Yeah.
I know. There's a lot to play
the
there.
fear of getting lost. There is. I like that. It's something I'm going to have to work on and work with. And
yeah. It's like being in the middle of the ocean and you're having a blast, and then all of a sudden you go underwater and you see a shark.
And then you come up and there's a massive storm above you.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden
look back down and it's a tropical beach.
Yeah. And you take a whiff of the air and it smells like a cave.
Yep. That is a great moment of what I was hoping to find, like that wild, that crazy. That's something that is different, and it's not just you're seeing different things. It's you know something is not right.
What a weird topic. I was just like, I was prepared to talk about something completely different, but this is good. We're going to come back to that one too, because
I think it's
how you make
good
things crazy and wild. I'd like to know what people think, obviously, so I want you guys to write it in the comments if you have any comments about what or how to make things wild. It's not just like a dangerous place, but like, how do you make it feel wild and crazy?
Mm-hmm. Feel different than what a normal Dungeons and Dragons fantasy would be.
Yeah, so it's sort of like an experienced player's opinion is what we sort of want, because right now I feel like everything's sort of crazy and wild. But
Dungeon Doom Hands, let's talk lore.
That'll
a
do
podcast.
It. Good topic.
Yeah.